I'm starting it online on YouTube, so we are live on YouTube. Здравейте всички в YouTube. След мъничко се включваме и в Facebook всеки момент. Би трябвало вече да сме наживо навсякъде. Тази вечер за първи път в нашите срещи си имаме гост от чужбина, директно от Полша. Рафал Бояр. Рафал, good evening.
Hey guys.
Тази вечер разговорът ни ще бъде на английски, но преди да превключим на английски, ще си позволя да кажа няколко нещица от тези, които подготвяме. Първо следващата седмица ще имаме отново две теми в понеделник и в четвъртък, като темата в четвъртък отново ще имаме гост от чужбина, този път от зад океана. За сега няма да казвам кой е, но трябва утре да потвърдим всичко финално и ще видите информация. Искам тук да използвам повода да споделя с всички анкетата, която провеждаме в момента в нашата нова група фотографите като бизнес. В тези дни на карантина, социална изолация, не знам точно какъв е правилният термин вече, извънредно положение, да. Бизнеса в фотографите се променя много и в тази група ще се опитаме да говорим по тези теми. И тази анкета е отправна точка. Аз ще си позволя да я споделя в коментарите навсякъде, където излъчваме в момента. Ще ви поканя, ако се занимавате с фотографията като бизнес или ако искате това да бъде ваша кариера, ви каня да попълните тази анкета, отнема от 2 до 5 минутки и може да се попълни и напълно анонимно. С това ще ни помогнете да модерираме по-добре темите, които да обсъждаме в групата. За сега информацията е доста интересна, която събрахме. Само да пусна и на всички, които ни гледате тук в Zoom. И така, тази вечер Рафал Бояр е наш гост. Той беше лектор на Inspiration Photo Conference през 2019 година и там, освен лекцията по време на конференцията, с него проведохме един мастер-клас. И от всичко, което той разказа и сподели, неговата история е доста интересна. Работата му за мен е изключително емоционална, въздействаща и силна. Но на мен много ме впечатли как той е изградил образа си като фотограф, стила си, начина на работа и в един момент си е казал, аз искам да бъда този артист и се е преборил това да се случи. И за това тази вечер темата е Бъди, артистът, който искаш да бъдеш. Okay, I'm passing on English.
Awesome.
It was some info about what you are doing next on these live meetings. And I explained you were our guest in the Inspiration Photo Conference last year. And I really, really loved your life story, your career story in photography. And I was really impressed how you managed to figure out your own model of work and just to build it up from scratch and to be as most reliable to the things you want to do. So, good evening.
Good evening.
And maybe I would like to ask you to tell us something more about your quest in photography, where it all started, and and maybe further.
Yeah, so in general, it was my photography career started when I worked as a flight attendant, and I worked as a flight attendant for 7 years. So it was there was a lot of different kind of travels, layovers, etc. And that was the moment that I decided to pick up my camera, like a just basic camera, and to don't be boring anymore at the beautiful beach in Dominican Republic, etc. Because I had a lot of layovers at the time in this part of the world. I mean, the first time is amazing if you will go to, let's say, paradise, but after a while it's just getting boring. you know. So I was just trying to find something that I can, just in general, that I can do anything, you know. So I started photography, and then I realized that I don't want to work as a flight attendant anymore, and I need to figure out any plan that maybe I can earn money through photography, you know. And then I realized that wedding photography is a really cool and beautiful chance to build your own business quite easy. Like, you know, for the person who never had a business, I think wedding photography, let's say, it's not that hard at the beginning. Like, I mean, everything starts once you will get there, you know. If you want to be better, or if you want to build your own little niche or your own style, your own little world, that's when all the problems are you know, starting. So just briefly, that was my beginning, you know. I gave myself like 2 years to learn as much as I can, and to save money as much as I can, and to buy some equipment like cameras, lenses, etc. So the beginning, like 2 years, was kind of really hard, because I bought everything because of my savings, you know. So every spare money that I had, I just invest into my knowledge, into my equipment, and yeah. And then I realized that I can be independent, first time in my life, and it was completely like different world. I entered to a completely different world, and once you will get that there, I mean, if you work as a independent creator, let's say, it's just, you don't want to work for anyone, you know, again. So yeah, just briefly, that's how I started.
And why wedding photography?
You know, like, I started photography in general just by taking photos of nature, landscapes, etc. And then I realized it's kind of boring. I miss to photograph people. And then I started with models, and then I realized models are not my, it's like shooting models is not my thing. I need to capture like a real emotions, not people that just want to pose and they have like a beautiful makeup. I never cared about like clothes, makeup, beautiful things. I care, but I was driven by real emotions. So yeah, wedding photography seems to, you know, it was like an obvious decision for me at the beginning that I want to capture emotions, you know.
Okay, and what's wedding photography like in Poland? So
I think it's similar to Bulgaria, you know, or any other country. I mean, we have fantastic weddings, we have boring weddings, we have simple weddings, we have boho weddings, we have, you know, it's very different. But when I started, everything was kind of classic at that time. And I remember I was kind of like one of the first people in my country that started to smuggle a little bit like the things that people were doing on the West countries, like first look outside, or just more rustic style, more less classic, you know, weddings, or like more weddings or more sessions that looks more like a elopements, or this kind of or vows renewal, you know. At the time, nobody was shooting vows renewal in Poland, like nobody. There was nothing. This thing didn't exist, and still is kind of new in my country, and I did it a lot, you know, and I love it. So at the beginning, like a few years ago, like in 2013, the market was very classic, I would say. And then in 2 or 3 years, everything changed like completely, like 180%, you know. Yeah.
yeah, a complete turnaround.
Completely.
Okay. And what is your approach now to telling a story around a wedding? Because it evolved apparently and something. And how did you get there? I mean, what you're doing now for me still is quite different from most of the things I've seen. So
yeah, that's a really nice question, but very complex, I would say, because the things that they were happening was they were happening gradually. You know, I realized that I don't feel comfortable by just going somewhere, saying hi, taking photos, and just delivering those photos and just going for another. It's like a service, you know. I realized since I remember, I loved stories. I love to watch movies. I love to watch TV shows. You know, I was driven by stories. I was curious about them. When I was young. My favorite thing was building puzzles and Legos, and I could spend like hours just imagining things, you know, like building Legos, little cities, and then something were happening there, and then, you know, it's like a little story in my mind. And when I started photography, I started to invest more time by asking people questions like, hey guys, you have for example, if I had like a couple that I saw opportunity to do something better or more interesting, like to show who they are as a people, who they are as a couple, not to just shoot their wedding, you know. And I just started to ask them questions like, hey guys, can you share some of your beliefs? Can you share some of your story from your life? Like, what do you believe? What do you value? How you started, like your relationship, how it started. What is your approach to relationship, etc. And I was like, there was no certain question. I was asking like, hey guys, just share something. I'm really curious who you are. And people started to write me messages. Some of the messages, they were like kind of obvious, you know, just normal. And some of the people just started to give me like nice ideas or even like a script for amazing story. And that's how I started, you know, just by being curious. Yeah.
Is it possible for us to see an example of what you're doing right now?
So right now I made, this is one of my the newest story. And so for example, like with this couple, we just had they booked me for let's say for a session in Iceland, you know. But I've been to Iceland already almost like 10 times, and I love Iceland so much, but it can be boring, really, like just landscapes and people and just pretending adventures there. For me, it's boring. I love to dig deeper. I love to have something to share with the world. And when I ask Anya and Christopher, if they can share me something very personal, Anya told me that she has a story that she wrote a few years ago, but nobody saw those words, and it's very personal, and she can show me, but she doesn't want to use it for the story. And I said, that's awesome, that's perfect, but just show me. I want to just read it. I want to know you better, to realize who you are. And then when I read it, I was like, oh my God, it's so good. It just needs a good translation to English, and it can be a really beautiful script for their story, you know, because they were kind of dark couple. I mean, not like a really bad characters, but kind of dark, melancholic, you know. And so me and Chris, we decided to somehow ask her, hey, Anya, please, we have to do it because it's so beautiful that it need to show, like we need to show it to the world. And so it took me like a lot of time to put everything together, because I had to find the music that can be like, that find this mood. So I spent hours and hours on YouTube and other services by looking for a song, and then I found like one song, and then I wrote a message to the author and asked him, hey, can I use it for this story? It's so beautiful. It's about like, just read it. And he said, Rafal, go and use it for free. It's yours, and it was just unbelievable. And then, I can show you if you like, of course.
I would be curious, because it's a long
I mean,
way.
that's the story I just finished like a month ago, and I never show it to publicity because coronavirus hits the world. And I thought like, oh my God, this story is very melancholic. So people probably right now, they need like happy stories, but someday I will show it, definitely. So let me share my screen, and that's the story. And just let me know if you can hear the sound.
Let's just do it again. There's a mark down to share video and desktop audio, just to hear it, because we cannot hear it, and it's...
You can't hear it?
Yeah.
Okay, just a second. Let me...
you need to restart the sharing process, I think.
Okay, let me stop sharing. Maybe I will share instead a video that I have. Okay, so it's
the options down, I think.
So that's the share, and I think it's gonna be this one. Let me know if you can hear it.
No sound, not yet.
No.
Sorry.
Where we can find
and do you hear it?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Okay,
probably select the speaker.
It's from the view options, share desktop audio somewhere.
Share desktop audio.
Yeah.
Advanced, maybe music or computer sound only. I don't know. Let me.
I would just use the
share. Oh yeah, sorry. I didn't. Okay, I think it's gonna be right now.
Okay.
Sorry for that.
Have you ever?
Is it better?
Yeah, it's great.
Oh, okay, cool. Let's just watch it, and I will explain you later.
Yeah, okay.
Imagined what nothingness and silence feels like. Let me take you to a dark place. But don't worry, I will be with you. It's all safe. She lived in a nameless world, in a space where there is nothing but shadow. Since there are no words, there is no language either. Words have no value because nobody uses them. Once, words were ambiguous. Everyone used and understood them differently. Misunderstandings and conflicts came. For her, words were too destructive. She just couldn't cope with them. Helplessness forced her to enter a brand new reality. It was a shelter from the one she came from. She wanted this nameless world to be the place of peace and freedom. She could not predict, though, that in this world there would be no one, just nothingness, that she would not feel free. Everything that she was slowly started drifting away. Memories, feelings, thoughts, one after the other, they faded. It was gradual, encompassing her fast enough, though she was forced to surrender. Soon, there was nothing left. But for some sort of matter that used to be her. Now, it did not remember who or what it used to be. The only thing left was the all-pervading pain of irreversible oblivion. It was the last piece of her soul. She held on tightly to the pain, trying not to turn it into the nothingness. For eternity, things were dark. In this critical moment, in the vast abyss of darkness, she sensed an odd presence. A stranger had discovered her world. He looked at her and saw her as she was. He knew himself. He was him. And he came just to her. He came closer but hesitated. He wanted to teach her how to find out who she was and how to be really free. He knew she did not lose herself completely. He believed in her. He helped her stand straight and became protective so that she could lean on him and feel the kind of comfort, allowing her to surrender to what he came with. Because of what he did, she stopped being a nameless matter. She began to regain the meaning. He began moving her limbs, emphasizing they once existed. Suddenly, there was a light, and with light, a feeling. With this feeling, a memory. With this memory, a new body. With a new body, a consciousness. And in this moment, his hands were resting on her face. He softly opened her eyes. She felt safe again. She could trust once more. As intensive as the process was, she could see how much it was bringing into her. She let herself be carried by it. What emerged, one could call movement, and movement means life. As she felt its presence, she surrendered to it. She was slowly learning more and more, and what came to life between them was prodigious. It was not only her who was learning in the process. He was learning her as she was becoming. Together, they created something that was new to both of them. They experimented with the awareness he brought in with him, and it created its new variations. Their movements began to appear as if they were one inseparable. Not because they were identical, yet because they were different. It was a new language they could both understand. For us, this world remains nameless, as we do not understand it. For those who create it, it has gained a new meaning, obvious only to them.
Beautiful.
Yes, so that's more or less the story that I was making, and honestly, that was so much work with not even with the visual, but with production. I mean, just figure out like the music, finding the voice, finding the person who can translate from English, from Polish to English, and then editing the video. You know, it took me a while to make it, but yeah, I'm happy.
And okay, every story you tell, it comes out of your curiosity, as I understand. So
Yeah, definitely. Like, you know, and that's what I'm like. The first thing I'm always trying to teach people, or to just let them know that it doesn't matter if you are a photographer, videographer, you make music, you write books, or wherever, you know, you're a creator. you have to be curious. You have to be curious, first of all, about yourself. You have to know yourself as much as you can. You have to dig a little bit in your past, in your childhood. You have to find the thing that makes you feel alive, you know, and then even more, you have to be curious about the world, the people, their stories, you know. You don't have to be scared about asking questions, or sometimes to force people, or like in a good way to force to, you know, them to share their stories to others, you know, because it's important, especially with this kind of a little bit melancholic stories. It's important, especially like Instagram, Facebook, like social media, people just share their normal life, let's say normal adventures, and most of it is just, you know, it's not real. It's just, you know, it's just fake, let's say it honestly. And so there needs to be a balance. So that's why I chose the other way, to show like, hey guys, you can show some, like, not everyone has amazing life. Sometimes we struggle, and that's fine, you know.
And do you always manage to get the story from this communication? Because this is hard. It is hard for someone to share this, even with their own selves, what's about someone else.
Yes, sometimes it's really hard to get a story, you know, and I'm not hiding this, Emmanuel, that not everyone has this amazing story to tell, and that's fine. It's normal, you know, or not everyone wants to share something honestly, you know, with the others. Some people just want to have nice photos and nice videos, and that's also fine, you know, that's totally okay. So I try to make those kind of story as much as I can, you know, even though I go and I shoot normal weddings, like and I'm so much happy that I have this opportunity, you know.
Okay, and when you were in Sofia last time, you told us that at some point you realized that you don't want. I want to take a step back in time. You mentioned you didn't want to continue doing just the standard weddings, and you just deleted all of your portfolio and did it all over again. How? Or
yeah,
like
I mean, that's what I did, actually. Even though I'm still shooting weddings from time to time, but that's not my main source of income. I teach a lot. I can tell you, like, honestly, that's my main source of income right now. And I create those kind of stories for people and for myself as well, as a beginning of my new portfolio, as opportunity to work for other companies, other brands, etc. You know, because otherwise it would be really hard to convince any company that I can make a movie if I have only weddings as my portfolio, you know. So that's the road I chose, you know. So I will be making also like music videos soon after this coronavirus will end, and other stories as well, like for American company that I can't tell you now, but yeah. Some other stories, like completely no wedding, but about photography community. Yeah.
Nice, great, in fact. Okay, can you share something more, because I really find it fascinating how you managed to get this story out from people. And when you shoot a wedding or this type of movies, even in the normal pictures, there is so much emotion in your work, at least the one I've seen. And do you have some tips on how to provoke people to show their real emotions? And
yeah, let's maybe share some of my screen, and I will show you some of my photos, and maybe it's going to be easier to explain, like, how I interact with people, how I achieve those photos, you know. Let me just find a good photo and I will share the screen. Okay, so here is one example. Okay, and let's share screen again. So, you know, I'm always really open when I'm taking photos. I mean, I love to have an ideas of what I can do during the shoot, but at the same time, I have my eyes open, ears open, like all my senses are open, and I observe. And I remember when I was with this couple in Iceland, Lara, she said to me like, "Hey, Rafal, you know what? I would like to cast a spell for my wedding, and if you don't mind, I will just do it right now. And you can, if you feel you want to capture it, you can do it. If you don't, you can just stand, you can just rest, etc." And I was like, "Oh my God, what does it mean?" And she said like, "You know what? I will just whisper some words and I will just move a little bit." I danced. I was a dancer when I was young, and I will try to combine a few things, you know, but just if you want, you can observe. And I started to look, what is she doing? And it was one of the most amazing discoveries. The way she released emotions and the way she moved her body, like the body language, etc., was just unbelievable. I wouldn't dare to ask anyone, "Hey, can you cast a spell and I will just take photos of you while you are doing it?" And she gave me like amazing inspiration, like that everyone has something weird or nice or amazing that it's important that I can capture, you know. And it's more like personal, it's more interesting, like it happens only once and never again. Like this body, you know, like her body language, etc., is just like, yeah, and that's it. And it was just amazing, you know. So that's just one example for like here. That was a funny thing, like it's the same.
I suppose, yeah, you were there as well.
Yeah, the most funny thing, Emmanuel, was that while we were shooting this intimate session in Iceland in a hot spring, it was early morning, like sunrise, beautiful light, you know. And then after a while, some random guy came and he lied down just maybe 1 meter behind us. So can you imagine like shooting an intimate session and just like someone is next to you and just like a random guy that he's just chilling there in the water. But yeah, but it doesn't, like, I ask them like, "Hey guys, if you want to stop, we can stop. If you feel it's not a problem for you, we can continue." But for example, like for those kind of intimate shots, I always ask people to cover the most intimate parts of their bodies. You know, obviously I don't want to show too much. I just want to show a little bit. This is the story I'm editing right now, like the video. So and with this video I was a little bit struggling with I didn't have too much footage for this story, but the story is very beautiful, and I found like a really nice person who will give me the voiceover, and she will write the narration also. And the story is about guardian angel, and it will be soon on my website, so I don't want to tell you too much. But the amazing thing about this story was I was going to speak on the conference in Brazil, in São Paulo, and I thought like, I will be traveling 10,000 kilometers or something, like, you know, it's very far from Poland, And it would be nice to stay there a few days more and to find a couple, maybe to find a nice venue, nice Airbnb somewhere in the jungle maybe, and to create something. And then like I found amazing like Airbnb that was in the middle of the jungle, and just behind this Airbnb was a little waterfall, secret place, and everything looks magical, but I don't want to tell you too much. It will be on the video. That's the story I just show you. What else I can tell you? I love to disconnect, like I don't like to shoot people like the couples that they're on all the time together, like hugging, kissing, etc. You know, I love to separate them as much as I can, because it's easier for me then to build like something more interesting on my blog. You know, like if people are all the time together, it's boring. So I'm giving them things to do during the shoot, like very often, or I'm just observing them and they do what they normally do. So they were dancers, so I led them to dance and to move their bodies like in the more dramatic way, you know. Yeah, it was both renewable. What else I can show you? Yeah, and a lot of photos I'm just taking when people think I just finished shooting them, you know, like, and then those photos I love the most, you know, like this kind of photos, you know, when people don't think that I just like I was there. I don't know what kind of tips do you want more? I maybe just some people have some questions, you know. I will be.
Maybe they will. I just want to remind everybody that we are live, so they could ask questions.
Yeah.
I will do it in Bulgarian as well, защото може да задавате въпросите си на български, ако има някакво притеснение случайно. Okay, so for now we have some really nice comments. So beautiful. I'm a big fan of your inspirational work, and I must say thank you, Rafal, for these amazing stories, and keep on doing what you do. These are
thank you guys.
Some of the comments. What tips? Okay, tell me something more about the editing process you have, because you have a very specific style of editing. I mean, the way your pictures look. Did you ever think of changing it, or do you think it's because it's really specific? It's something that reminds of a film-like feeling. I don't know, and it's I don't know. Do you have do you have a reason for this? I mean, what's the reason for your pictures to look like they do?
You know, like I'm really big fan of, in general, maybe I will just share again my screen. Maybe I will just share one of my stories instead. I will just show you on my website. Where's Safari? Okay, it's here. I was looking for. Oh no, it's not this one. Sorry for the screen share. It's sometimes very Safari. Okay, let's go to my website and maybe. So you're asking about like the colors or the tones, or in general the vibes that I have, like dark.
The colors, the tone, the vibes, everything, because it's the combination of all these elements. The graininess in the photos.
Okay, so in general, I'm a big fan of like a timeless vibes, you know. That's why I decided to. I'm really big fan of black and white, even though I know that black and white photos are not the thing that people love to watch recently, especially on social media. So I'm always trying to edit also like the color, but my videos are mostly black and white. So the colors are a little bit vivid and more into the orange tones, you know. I'm not a big fan of like the real skin tones. I mean, I love to have like a film vibe than just the natural colors, you know. I want to watch those photos like in 20 years and just like remind it was an amazing time. Everything was more vivid, you know, than it's right now. And especially when I'm looking at my own photos when my parents, you know, took when I was young, you know, I love those vibes, like timeless in general. Even my stories, I always choose places that are, let's say, like separated from the modern world. I'm looking for places that you can't figure out what year is it. Is it like 2020, or it maybe it was 2010, or even 2000, or even, you know, like even before. So that's why I don't show too much like the modern, like technology too much, like phones, TVs, etc. That's why those colors and those vibes, like, they match, because they everything looks more timeless. What else? I'm a really big fan of film noir, like between shadows and lights, and those places I'm always looking when I'm taking photos, you know, like between lights and shadows. I love to have a contrast, like a strong contrast on my photos. What else? Yeah, I think more or less.
Yeah, this gives a good answer to my question. So we have a question I want to read to you. It's in Bulgarian. So do you always shoot photography and video? And do you like more the video or the moments you capture?
Yeah, so I started only with photography, and then I was really curious, like, what if I will, instead of taking photos, if I would record it, you know, because it's hard to show things on the photos that you saw when you were there, like weird movements, or some light was playing on the background, or leaves were flying, you know, in an interesting way. So I started to record small piece of videos, and then I realized that, oh my God, I just felt in love in the videos more, and I love it more than photos. And then I was curious if I can somehow present this model to the clients. I mean, for example, if someone wanted to book me for elopement for the story in Iceland, like as a photographer, I always mention them that, hey guys, I just started to make short video stories. They're like 2-3 minutes max, with some voiceover, with music. They contain like photos and videos. And if you like, you can have like a small video of your elopement, of your story, like extra. It doesn't cost a lot, blah, blah. And I was surprised that almost everyone wanted to have such a thing, like a small video, you know. And for people, it was also like a good opportunity, because they didn't have to hire another additional person. For example, if it was Iceland, like if you start counting your money, like you need to find somewhere abroad, and then airline tickets and accommodation, food, blah blah, like it makes a lot of costs. And just with me, I'm there, you know, so I can do both things at the same time, almost. Like I just need 2-3 days more, and we can do it together. And then I started to rise my price, and then I just noticed that people just still want me there, you know. So that's how I started with videos, like I just make few, and then I just show them, hey guys, I'm doing those kind of stories. Would you like to have it? And then
And in the story you showed, you mentioned the music and the narrator, and there's a question in this direction: where do you take all these voices and music from?
Yeah, so for example, for the voiceover, I can recommend you, there is one service that is called Voice Bunny, like voice like your voice,
Yeah.
and bunny like bunny.
Voice Bunny. Okay.
Voice Bunny. And there is a lot of different accents, different languages. Like you can search for male, female, child, senior, middle-aged, young, etc. Like you have to just spend some time to find an interest, like the voice that you think it's interesting. It can fit for your story. So for the voiceovers, I can recommend you those kind of services like Voice Bunny, but there is much more. Probably, I'm a fan of Voice Bunny. Is amazing. I mean, once you will send them your script, your words for the person who will read it, it normally takes 1 or 2 days to deliver. So it's very fast, and their customer service is brilliant. I mean, they will not gonna let you go without you feeling satisfied. So Voice Bunny, and for the music, I have this opportunity that I know a lot of musicians. So some of them gave me the music. Some of them I asked if I can use it for non-commercial work. And some of the music I started to find on MusicBed. So I can show you, if you are curious, I can show you like the services that I use. So maybe it's going to be more valuable for you. So for example, story blocks I started to use for some footage that I need, and some audio and sound effects, and I can recommend you story blocks. It's really nice. Voice Bunny, is this one, and it's really brilliant. Some of the voices, they cost a lot. Some of the voices, they cost just a little. So I can show just, for example, this story. Where is it? I need to just find it. It's somewhere. Oh, it's here. So for this voiceover, I will just show you like what is the voiceover.
I would feel it all over again. What I've taken from this.
So the funny thing, I paid for this voiceover like 80 euros, which is almost nothing in terms of like hiring actor and with a beautiful voiceover, actually, But the story I showed you before, like the Nameless World, the first story, I paid, oh my Jesus Christ, like 600 euros. This person was very expensive, but I decided to, I need to do it because nobody will. Those stories, it's like my investment, I can't be. I don't want to find cheap things that will sound and look cheap. I want these stories they are completed. Some voiceovers, some of the voiceovers are expensive, some of them are cheap and still beautiful value, So voiceover, I can recommend you definitely. MusicBed, it's a really good website for and the music. If you're looking for the music, something is not. Oh, okay, it's this one. it's a little bit it can be a little it can be a little bit pricey, but the music here is very like high quality. Different moods, different vibes. You can search wherever you need, like cinematic, for example, and spoken word or no spoken word, and then, for example, like contemplative or peaceful, blah blah. So I just found like recently really nice song that it's actually not that expensive, and it was like just 60 euros for one song, which is very reasonable, you know. So those kind of services I can recommend you. Sorry, it took too much time to explain
it's
it.
Great. It's great for someone who wants to do it.
If you guys,
very useful.
Yeah, if you guys want to start making your stories, I can tell you, try to treat them as your biggest investment, and even if it means you have to pay from your own pocket, just do it at the beginning. Of course, you know, don't be scared about it, because like new people will come and they will see the value of your stories, and it will change the world like completely, you know. So I always think about my stories like it's my investment also.
There is a more technical question. What kind of frame rate do you use for video?
So for the video, the problem is that I'm completely not a technical person, and and when I started to record and shoot videos, I just started with 23, almost 24 frames per second. It was like a basic setup on my camera, and then I realized why I didn't set up like 60 frames per second, and then I could slow down, and you know, I don't have to have like a lot of seconds, and I don't have to spend a lot of time by, you know, making those footage. So now mostly 60 frames per second, mostly.
Okay, and I want to break down the process a little bit more, because one of those videos, it has a great amount of work behind it, because you think of the script, and you give it to someone else to write it down, the words. Okay?
So
or it's not always the case.
So the first story was, everything was written in Polish, and it sounds a little bit like a poem, you know, and I knew that I don't have to change things here, you know, I just need to convert it to English, but sometimes it's very hard to translate and to take, like, to create a meaning that it's same in Poland and same in English. So it was kind of, I had to sacrifice something to have something, you know, like in another language. And most of the times I had to cut down something that maybe it's nice, but it doesn't add anything to a story. And I started to shorten my story a little bit. Like, I don't want to create like 8 minutes, 10 minutes stories. I want to keep them like 3 minutes, like less is more for me right now. It's like a small stories, you know. Yeah.
And here's a question. What you show on your website, on your portfolio, and what you give to the couples, where is the difference? I mean, I suppose you're making more pictures, and the videos, do you edit them differently for your portfolio and for the couples themselves?
Mm-hmm. For the photos, they look almost the same. Sometimes I change them. For example, when I'm having like a blog, and when you're going through the story, when you are going down and down and down, the vibe is changing, like from the bright colors, it's getting more dark. It's like a day and night, you know. So sometimes I change something like exposure, etc., contrast, but not like a tones, colors, etc. So just a little changes that everything is like gradually looks good in the story on my blog, you know. So when I deliver photos to my couples, I just deliver them 200, 300 photos, and I don't spend too much time by creating those stories. Like for my blog, it's like my personal space. I invest sometimes too much time to create those stories, you know. And that's also a problem of a lot of people, that they know how to take an amazing photos, but they don't have an idea how to create interesting story on the blog. It's like, you know, people often show too much, or they don't have an idea how to get attention from the viewers, you know, how to caught their eyes, how to create a little intrigue, etc. So yeah, I love to spend my time to build those puzzles on my blog. Definitely.
Well, last week on Monday we were talking about portfolios and websites, and I asked you, and then I used it and I showed some stories on one story on your website, and yeah, it's a whole experience to go through it and to put the music on and everything. It's really beautiful how you've done it. And for these stories on your blog, could I ask you for some tips? How do you build the stories through the pictures and through the cinemagraphs you use?
Yeah, we can even go, and I can show you something. So let's go to, I think it's here. Maybe I will show you the story from Brazil. So in general, I have two websites. One is still alive. Let's say it's on the Squarespace. That was my first website, and then I finally had some sources, and I saved some money to build like a custom website, which I always wanted to do, because I wanted to give people experience to when they will just go and when they want to watch something, you know, they will have a different experience than just random photos put it together, you know. So what I can tell you here, like I love to combine cinemagraphs and the GIFs with my stories. I want those stories to be more alive, more interactive. Like I'm a big fan of Harry Potter, and I don't know if you remember, but there was a few scenes, for example, like the newspaper, that something was moving there, or paintings that like the characters were just moving, and I love this idea, you know. So I want people to experience those stories, like, you know, if I would do this website once more, for sure I would add some sounds. When you scroll down, you can hear the jungle, and then it's disappear, and then something happened to something appear again, you know. But there's a lot of work, but in general, yeah, I love the idea of presenting what is all about the story, like recently. So for example, prologue, I love to add some small text, like prologue: we went with a mission to help Talita to become an angel, guardian angel, like her boyfriend, soulmate, and lover Eduardo. And then you're just watching when it's gonna happen, you know. And then Arca, and then other things like and the way I build my blog, it's not that I'm just like putting the images randomly. I'm really careful when the strong points are situated like one by one. I love the idea that you can your eyes can go from left to right, etc. It's just like, like the eyes are giving me a lot of directions, like what kind of photos I should use next and where my heroes, they should look. Like, for example, here, her face is like, let's say she's looking down left, so the strong point will be down left, and then his face is looking down right. And then there another photo with the strong point, like this is just an additional thing to make it more interesting, but I want you to look here. So you see, like there is a triangle that you are just like boom and boom, and then from left to right, from right to left, and again, like she's looking there, he is looking here. So it's like you can see that they have connection, like those photos, they have connections between each other, like they whisper to themselves, like they look at themselves, like I don't know if it makes sense, but for me,
especially when you explain it, for sure. But when you go through the story, it has a feeling to. It's beautiful. I really spent a great amount of time on your website to look through them. So
so the main idea is that I love to, just in general, I don't just imagine if like the strong point will be all the time on the left or on the right, and you will have like a diptych, two images. Will you look on the right if you like all the time are seeing strong points on the other side? No, but this way is really good because you're looking left, right, or in the center sometimes, etc. No, so more or less. And so with GIFs and with cinemagraphs, sometimes I'm using like photos to make a GIFs, and sometimes I use footage like the video and I make GIFs from the videos, like a small sequences. Unfortunately, this way of showing and presenting stories is not a SEO friendly, and I can tell you because this story is probably like 200 or 300 megabytes, which for SEO means Jesus Christ, what's happening here? That's the worst story ever. But sometimes you have to sacrifice something if you want to, show something interesting.
Great. When we announced this conversation, I named it "Be the Artist You Want to Be." Mm-hmm. And what's laying ahead for you? What are you reaching for?
What next? I'm reaching for? Oh, I would love to make a real feature film on the even like a short movie for film festivals, and honestly, I'm so happy that I had opportunity to work with weddings and with couples, because I have learned how to get their real emotions. I mean, not to tell them, hey guys, can you act like this? No, I normally work with people like, hey guys, I'm working like all around. I'm trying to build an environment for people that they can open themselves and show their real emotions and real personalities, instead of just, hey, can you smile for me and I will take some photos. No, I will create this environment for the person and she will smile because she will feel happy, or she will laugh because of something. It's the same with cry and with emotions. I will make her cry. I will make her to feel emotional. So I think I can use it for like a real movies like this, skills, to get a real emotions from the actors or from the people who will play some kind of roles in my future films, Yeah, and me and my friend Sebastian Mandrika from Super Weddings, he's like a videographer living in Spain. We will be making soon like a movie together. We want to see like what we can create together, because he is like a crazy creative person. Like his editing and everything is very modern. Mine is very timeless. I have this skill to open people in front of the camera. He has this crazy skill like David Lynch, that he edit the videos like in a crazy way, etc. You know, and see things in a more crazy way, like David Lynch. So it's like a combination between, I don't know, my biggest, like, I'm really big fan of Andrei Tarkovsky, like the Russian director, and Sebastian is like a David Lynch, let's say. So yeah, I'm really curious if we can create some kind of like, if we can find a balance and we can show those two styles in a really creative way.
And are you reaching out? Yeah, you mentioned already some projects you're working out of the wedding industry. And are you looking for more of this, or?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think if I will stay with videos and with creating things, definitely it's not gonna be weddings anymore. It will be stories, but I can't tell you now what kind of stories exactly it will be. You know, I will be teaching people still a lot, because that's the thing I really love. And it's like 3 years of my life of even making my workshops that people can go out and they can have some ideas, and they can get those ideas and create their movies or stories, or more interesting, even weddings, you know. Yeah. Because most of the thing that, like, we have to remember that we work with our approach. And if you have this strong personality that people will follow your ideas, you can do whatever you like, even with weddings. You can change people weddings in a better way. That's what I had in my life. Like I remember once I was like a videographer, photographer, wedding planner, and I don't know what else, you know. I created this their wedding, and they at the beginning they were scared, and they were curious, and they let me do what I was trying to convince them. And then at the end, it was one of the most beautiful weddings ever, you know.
Okay, I want to remind everybody they could ask some questions, and I would like to ask you for a few things before and going to the end of this conversation. I would really like to ask you if you have one of your stories that's especially dear to you and in some way, and if you could share it and tell us why.
Yeah, so let me show you, Emmanuel, the story actually I was talking about. I was like videographer, photographer, Uncle Bob with the camera, and wedding planner, you know. So I will have to share this story on my page, because it was really interesting, and everyone can do it. And it's not the amount of money that you have to have, it's the amount of time you have to invest to make it. And I love this story. It's just a simple wedding in Poland, but made in a more friendly family way, and like those memories will last forever. Like for Olga, we are still friends. We have contact, we hang out with each other. I spent with them like 4 days in the Polish mountains. A lot of those things were like surprise for them. they let me do wherever I felt it's going to be better.
I just want to go through it once again. So you're the wedding planner here as well?
Yeah, they said, you know what? Let me just tell you from the beginning how it started. Olga reached me out. On Facebook, and she said, Rafal, I really like your photos. I want you to be my photographer. Of course, her message was quite long and very personal and emotional, and I really love those kind of messages. It means a lot to me, and we just started to talk, and something clicked, and I felt like I'm just talking with the person that I know for all my life, and she was the same. She was feeling the same. And what I realized when she asked me, hey, Rafal, we talked so much, few weeks of sharing ideas and talks, and she said but we didn't sign any contract. Probably you need some deposit or something. Please send me your contract. And I don't know why, when she asked me if I'm available for this day, at the beginning, I think I looked at the wrong date, and I thought I'm available, which wasn't true. And when I realized this date is already taken, I was like, Jesus Christ, what I'm gonna do right now, because I can't cancel that wedding that I already had a contract. And I sent her a voice message with apologize, and I said Olga, please apologize, please let me tell you sorry. I don't know how it happened. I was just probably tired, busy. I don't know what. I was just stupid, and I told you I'm available, which is not true. But I will not gonna leave you without finding someone that can fit to your style, to the style that you're looking for. And she said, she answered me Rafal, I'm feeling really sad, but of course I understand it, and please give me 2 days. I need to think about it. And then she said okay, Rafal, the thing is, we already have a venue for our wedding, but we spoke with Radek, and we decided that we're gonna cancel it and we're gonna find another one, because we are feeling you're part of our wedding already, and we feel like you are our friend, and you help us with giving us a lot of ideas, and we can't even imagine not having you with us on our day, And I was like, Jesus Christ, Olga, are you sure? And she said yes. And then she found a small barn in the Polish mountains, and she wrote a message to the owner. And this barn is not like a typical wedding barn. People,
is there such a term, wedding barn?
Wedding barn, yeah, wedding venue, wedding venue barn, yeah. Let's say, and the owner said okay, but you have to come and visit me, because I don't know you, and I can't let you do your wedding if I don't know what kind of person you are. So Olga went there, and they became the best friends, and they are still the best friends right now with this owner. She ran this barn, marketing, social media, etc. She traveled there a lot, so she that's the funny thing. And then she said it's gonna be a civil ceremony, and probably if you guys know how civil ceremonies look like, they are very boring, because the officiant who will came, the person who came, he's just let's say more or less reading text from the and it's just not personal at all. So I was trying to convince Olga that we have to do something like a humanistic ceremony, more symbolic, but and then I explained them that, okay, you still need to have a civil ceremony, but you can do it 1 week before your actual wedding. You can just go with Radek, and you can just sign papers, and during your wedding we'll just do something more interesting. And that's how we did it. Like, and she said, like, you know what, Rafal, you change everything in my wedding, like the venue, my date of the wedding, and the style, you know, everything. So you know what, maybe you should just plan everything, and I will just be more happy because I'm not gonna stress about it. So, and I was like, oh my God, I can do it for you, definitely. I will find a place where you can have a wedding. I will find you a person who will conduct a ceremony, etc., etc. And then I also like I found musicians, like my friends from Berlin. They came to Poland to play like a concert for them during the ceremony and just after that. So it was very personal. And you know what, we created like a secret group with the family and the friend and their friends. It was like 25 people, I think. And I told them that, hey guys, what do you think if we could take some blankets, each of you will take a bottle of wine, some torches with the fire, and we will just go uphill and we will make a ceremony over there, and I can organize musicians, and it will be more like a small festival with just, you know, like hanging out together and not just like very official wedding. So for example, like this guy, he's like a florist. He works in his own workshop, let's say, and I asked him, hey, can you come the day before the wedding and we can make, how do you say, like those flower crowns?
Okay, I don't know in English, but
yeah, like flower crowns for girls, and you can make it on the hill with the girls, and they can have fun, or we can drink wine and be wild, you know. And so everything here is just like very spontaneous, but very like family and friends oriented. And we were there and we were just having so much fun. And those kind of weddings, guys, I wish you the most. Like, you feel part of it, you feel that you're important, you feel you are surrounded by people that care for you. And yeah, it was that's the wedding. So as you see, it was very spontaneous, very like a little bit crazy, very emotional as well. Yeah. More or less. I think that's honestly, that's my favorite wedding ever I had in my life, because of all my memories behind it, you know. All the people I met there, 4 days just surrounded by amazing guys, and yeah, kids, and everyone has beautiful memories there. Yeah.
it's beautiful. And thank you for sharing this story.
Yeah.
I said I would ask you to do 2 things before we go to end of this conversation. And the second thing is, I want to take us back to the topic we chose in Be the Artist. Would you give some piece of advice to everybody who's watching us? Well, how to be the artist they want to be? What they should let off? I really loved the thought you shared somewhere on your social media about fears and how they guide you.
Fear.
I don't know. Maybe some final piece of advice you could give everybody.
Yeah, I mean, fear is actually a good thing to end up the conversation, because everyone is scared about changes, about trying new things. Even if you don't know how the things works, like I mean, I didn't know how to record, make videos. It doesn't mean I was scared to to make them. But I was curious. I felt like, I need to check if I like it, if there is anything I can explore, something I can grow, I can, learn something new. And actually I have learned so much things by just creating videos, because with videos it's very, like, everything is very complex, and you have to be very well prepared before you will start recording something that has a meaning. And so I can give you advice, like, if you are scared, if you feel fear, mix of fear and curiosity is the best thing ever, I think. And never be scared to start something new. Never be scared about, even though if you're like a photographer, just go and take your camera and record something, maybe your family, your friends, maybe the wedding you shoot, maybe the session you shoot. Just ask people, hey guys, instead of 2, 3, 5 hours one day, we can have double time, and I can try to make a video, but I will just try. I'm not sure if I will able to make it. Just propose this completely for free and just ask them, hey guys, I will try, but I can't guarantee if I can make anything from it, but let's just try. Let's see what's gonna happen. And yeah, that's the advice. I mean, I was scared so many times in the past few years. My first time giving a public speech at Бъди in Barcelona, 600 people listening me, and my English at the time was really shit, it was terrible. And I could say, hey, I can't because my English is bad, but I decided, screw it. I mean, I'm scared. I feel fear, but I want to do it. I want to see what's going to happen next. And what happened next? Other conference started to ask me if I can also come and speak on their conferences. And I remember,
I think Бъди is the reason you came to our conference. Somebody saw you there and said, okay, Rafal is...
You see, if I will be just little boy scared in my room, in my safe bubble, safe place, what I will do? Like nothing. I will be just scared through all my life and just living with this fear. And what I started to, I just changed my mindset. I started like, okay, if fear exists, if he is like a person, let's say, I will treat him as a friend. I mean, he is probably just giving me the best advices. Like, of course, I have to risk. I don't know what's going to happen, but probably if I will do it, I will discover something new. And all the time is just every single thing that I'm scared is at the end is just, I'm feeling so much proud of myself and thinking, like I just achieved something completely new. Yeah. Don't be scared, guys. Just try. Really.
There's some question that's popped up, so I'm going to use the opportunity to ask you for it. So how is he coping with the corona isolation? How does it affect your work now?
Oh, so actually, in terms of my my projects or workshops, etc., everything is postponed from April to October, like my workshops, and some of my stories are, let's say, on hold. I don't have any work canceled. Everything is just postponed. So I don't know what's going to happen. Like how many weeks or months do we need to get to the normal? But the interesting thing is that finally I have a time to be at home to finish my stories, because when you travel all the time, it's so hard to close yourself in the bubble that you can spend sometimes to get an idea to finish what you started. And that was my problem all the time, that I made so many things, but some of them I never finished because I never had a time for it, because I was just traveling, all the time, which is like an addiction for me.
Yeah, Rafal, well, thank you for this conversation. Let me just check all the channels, YouTube, Facebook, Zoom, for any more questions. Ако имате въпроси, сега е последния момент да ги зададете. Well, I'm really grateful you agreed to do this, because I really love your work and the way you think about it and the emotions you invest and everything you do. So thank you very much once again.
My pleasure, guys.
And yeah, hopefully I hope our paths crosses sometime soon again. Well, this is it for now. I'm starting to switch us off from all the social media channels.
Sure.
So everybody on YouTube, bye bye. We're